I cannot be the only one. When I was watching this episode, and you saw the surgery room with Muguro being worked on, I honestly figured it was going to be a troll. Like, he was going to survive, or wake up or something. As the episode continued, it became very clear that Muguro died. And I'm like, I was just in complete shock. I'm like, he really just died. And I'm like, that's a shitty way to go. I think that is probably one of the worst ways to go. I mean, Muguro didn't die in a blaze of glory. He didn't die on the battlefield. He died, like, in the middle of a cave. Kind of all alone, in a way. And he got stabbed and bled out. I cannot believe that happened. I mean, Shingeki no Bahamut, Genesis, it had an important death. We know that. We've seen that. We know that death is a thing when it comes to Shingeki no Bahamut. And the writers of the show definitely are willing to do that. It just, to think Muguro, this character, that has been built up for such a long time, since, like, the beginning of Shingeki no Bahamut Season 2, you would think that Muguro would kind of make it to the end, or at the very least the final episode or so, but that didn't happen. He died, and it's sad that he died to spark the war. Like, he wanted to change the world, he wanted to fix the world and all that, but in a way, he's kind of still doing that, but now he's gone. Because with his death, Lucifer is standing up with everybody on his army. Like, all of his armies just rising up to fight, all the demons. And then you have Jonah, she's going to heaven, the God's land, and talking to all the angels and starting a rebellion. She has her power back, and we know how Jonah is when it comes to her power. So she's about to go in with her power, the angels and all that, and other, humans or demons that want to rebel against the king. Then you have Lucifer's army coming in, and then you have all of our main characters, the main cast of characters, going in as well. So when you look at this, it was thanks to Muguro's death, or L's death, that caused this to happen in the first place. And it's sad that, like I said, he had to die just to initiate all this, which is kind of interesting, because stuff like this does happen in real life as well. It takes something very tragic, something you cannot take back, for people to finally start getting shit done. And that's kind of what happened here. It was too late. They waited until it took too much time, or it was too late, before they could finally, do something and try to fix the issue. And that is what has happened. I mean, I really like how Jonah, she's got, like, more of a spine, backbone in this episode, and she's done. Like, you could just see, she is just straight up done. She is done with the king, she's done with what she's been saying, she now is just determined to wipe him out. Like, anyone that stands against her, anyone that is on his side, will be wiped out no matter who you are, which just shows what Jonah, how she feels about the death of her son, which makes a lot of sense. And then Azazel, him going over to Lucifer and talking to him, this man, he wanted to say his true thoughts, but he couldn't, because that wouldn't be enough for Lucifer to lend his hand to help out Azazel and everybody else. But we know deep down that the reason why Azazel went to Lucifer in the first place was because of what happened to Muguro. When Muguro died, we know he felt something, because, in a way, Azazel was like a father figure to Muguro. He watched over him, he cared for him, and even when Azazel was in his darkest moments, Muguro came out and gave him a shining light. And we see that he does care. Even though Muguro was an angel, or half-angel, we know that Azazel cared a lot about him. And, I mean, even in this episode, when it started off, and you see the surgery sequence and all of that, you see how he actually cries, and which is the most shocking moment of the episode, honestly, besides the death, is that he actually, you saw these tears in his eyes, that he was mourning the loss of Muguro, which just shows it wasn't like a fake relationship. He truly did care, and when he dropped dead and all that, you could tell that this is one of the angriest moments of his life. He's just never really been this angry. I mean, he was really upset, sad, depressed, and all that when he initiated something, and, everybody died thanks to him having the wrong idea when Nina wasn't able to transform. but this time he was really determined. And I mean, it's a nice reflection or contrast actually to the first half of Shingeki no Bahamut Season 2, because as we know, when Azazel, he was getting very impatient. He was wanting to get things done, and everybody died and all that. And we know he felt very guilty. He was going around, you could just see how he was, reflecting on his actions and all that, and Muguro tried to comfort him, and you could see that he was kind of upset and all that. And you could see that that scene that he had is very similar to the scene he had in this episode when he talked to Lucifer, but in this time, he was actually correct. He's like, we need to go now. This is the perfect time. All sides are going in. We need to go in. Something needs to be done. And so that's kind of what happened. And I like how it shows Azazel's character development, how he now is trying to hold back his emotions as best as he can, but at the same time, though, he's trying to let everyone know, like, it's time to go now. And that's what happened. So, besides that, let's talk about the dude that did it. Assand, or however you pronounce his name. I'm calling him Assand, okay? Or just Sand for short. This man stabbed Muguro at the end of last week's episode. And just straight up scumbag. I mean, we knew the reason why he did this was because he wanted to join the Onyx Knights. It was very obvious, especially with that flashback at the end of last episode. But they made sure to let us know with this episode that that's exactly what he wanted. Which made me dislike his character even more after we got to see what he did. So after stabbing Muguro, killing him, we know Muguro is definitely dead. After stabbing him, killing him, he goes to the Onyx Knights, he shows the blade and all that has the blood of Muguro, and he's like, look, I did it, I killed the Holy Child and all that, let me join the Onyx Knights, and he's like, follow me and all that, and takes him into this, like, chamber where you see a bunch of Onyx Knights, they're getting, their armor taken off, and you see their bodies, which are just battered and beaten, veins all over them and stuff. It just looks like they're in terrible shape. They're puking up, like, this black mucus. It looks outright nasty, and you can see that the Onyx Knights are not what they appear to be on the outside. On the outside, they look like these badass knights that are going in, just being crazy strong and destroying anybody that faces them, but in reality, when they're not doing that, their bodies are under a heavy burden and they're dying, and so they're doing this for their duty, but they've sacrificed basically everything to do what they're doing. And so when he shows them this, he's like, look, if you join us, you gotta put this crystal in your chest, and that would mean that you'll be like us. But he's like, you most likely don't want to do that, huh? And he's like, I didn't know I had to risk my life and all that. Like, give up his life if he put the crystal. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you piece of utter shit. Like, you are probably the worst person imaginable in any form of literature. Like, these are the type of characters I hate the most. Characters that are so indecisive or not fully committed to what they want. It's very human. It is very human. I won't put the character down. Like, okay, let me rephrase what I said. The character is good. Well written, okay? But I personally don't like this character because just these type of characters, they really rattle me because you go so far to do what you want and then you back out after you did so much just because you didn't think it was all that you wanted it to be. For instance, he didn't want to risk his life, even though he ruined someone else's life, but he's not willing to risk his life to do what he wanted to do, which is just really fucked up. And so Assand, he's an asshole. Straight asshole what he was doing and how we were supposed to, I really hope that the writers of the show wasn't trying to make me feel bad for him, because they're making me try to feel bad for him and, feel sympathy for him. That's not gonna happen. No. I'm sorry. I mean, I know he probably had something going on, probably some form of rough patch in his life, but it doesn't fucking matter. This man's a noble. He was in an army. He was, like, at the top near where, Kaiser was. This man was set. Yes, I know that the early Knights, they were not as good as they once were, but they were still moderately decent. And so what happened was this man he was greedy. He wanted more. He wanted more. He wanted status, fame, power. And then once he couldn't, do it because he had to sacrifice all, he's like, no, backs out. Now he feels guilty that he killed someone. I do not feel sorry for an asshole that does that. I just can't. I mean, the way he acted as a person, it's just despicable. He did some things that you can just never take back. He took someone's life for his own personal gain, but then he decided after going that far to back out. He's like, nope, I can't do it, and backs out. That's disgusting. That's straight disgusting. So, honestly, he deserves everything that's coming to him. If Azazil's going in, gonna slit his throat. He deserves it. Jonah goes in, slits his throat. He deserves it. I mean, the man is a scumbag, and I think, honestly, there's no redemption that should be given to him. So, besides that, I think we should talk about Nina. So, Nina, as we know, she's been hiding a lot of her emotions, and we saw that in the last episode after what we found out from the king and all that. She's very upset and sad, depressed, and you can see she's putting on this forced smile throughout last week, and even in this episode. But it goes one step further. In this episode, it's about grieving. It's about the loss of a very important person, Muguro. And normally in a series, when a character dies, we see an entire episode focused on grieving. This character mourning the loss of someone, going through flashbacks, sadness, and we did have some of that, yes. But most of it is always focused on just grieving, just being very sad and depressed. But in this case, it wasn't that. Nina put on a happy-go-lucky smile and was staying busy to keep her mind off of things, and she was just cleaning. And I know there's different ways to get rid of stress. That's just how people are. I mean, like I've said many times in my Chibi questions, I have different ways of getting rid of stress as well. And so, Nina's way, as we can see, she was just keeping herself busy and cleaning up around everywhere just to get her mind off of things. And in this case, you can see that she was trying to act like she normally was. And in most cases, many might believe her, believe what she was doing, and think she's fine. But in reality, if you take a really good glance at her and compare her personality in this episode to, like, the first half of Shingeki no Bahamut, you see two entirely different characters. What is the one thing I've been talking about when it comes to Shingeki no Bahamut? It's Nina, how she has constantly carried the show. When Favreau wasn't there, or Kaiser wasn't there, obviously someone had to fill the spot. Someone had to be there to fill the actual quality characters that was left. Since, you know, Favreau and Kaiser weren't there, we needed someone to be able to be as bubbly or energetic as them. And that is what Nina's role was. She was supposed to fill in for them. And I personally enjoyed her spunky attitude, how she was, and we got to see her. Now, some obviously were kind of annoyed about her character, but overall, though, she filled her spot rather well. In this episode, all of that we've seen in this episode was a lie. She wasn't happy, she was very depressed, and she was just putting on a forced smile, and it was just so different, radically different compared to what she normally was, that I was just in utter shock. So, I have to say, Studio Mappa, good work on this episode for Shingeki no Bahamut. Quality episode, quality character development and characterization, and just a nice curveball when it came to Muguro's death. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.